What's up, everybody? It's Troy and Tyson back for another podcast. Today we're excited because we have the newest Black Label supplement athlete, Andy Whittier, is joining us. He is a U.S. bobsled and skeleton athlete getting ready for his season. Thanks for coming, Andy.
Thank you guys for having me. It's awesome to be here.
Yeah, and this is a little new for us and for you guys watching because usually we're doing this over Zoom, but he's in office, so we're excited about that.
Yeah, this is cool. Benefits of being local. Yeah. I think that's one of the cool parts.
And we love supporting local athletes.
Yes.
So
Amen.
Thank you for taking a chance and being an athlete for Black Label. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the community and local is what I'm all about. Like, give back and take care of the ones who take care of you, and I think that's what makes the world go round.
That's awesome.
And hopefully we expand this beyond the community with your help, right?
That's the plan.
So let's just jump right into this, Andy. So you are a skeleton racer. Is that the correct term, a racer, right?
In a sense, we generally just say skeleton athlete, bobsled athlete. Just kind of makes more sense to say it that way.
Yeah, okay. And skeleton is part of the bobsled, U.S. bobsled. Most people, we've all seen Cool Running, so we know what bobsled is. Tell us a little about skeleton.
Right, so, and that's usually how the conversation starts. Someone asks you, what sport do you do? And we say, I'm a skeleton athlete. And they're like, what's that? So then we start, we're all a part of the same federation. So it's bobsled, it's USABS, United States of America Bobsled and Skeleton Federation. We talk about, you know what bobsled is? Yeah, of course. You know what track they go down? Yes. Well, we do that same thing, but head first by ourselves on a sled. And that's kind of how that conversation then goes. Then they're generally like, that's crazy. And I'm like, yeah. But it's a ton of fun going 80 miles an hour head first.
Yeah, about 2 inches from the ice.
Yeah, about 2 or 3 inches from the ice, absolutely. Your helmet's dragging sometimes.
So how many times when you introduce skeleton and you talk about bobsled, do people bring up the Jamaican bobsled team?
All the time. It's probably one of the most fun things to talk about because in the movies, what a lot of people don't understand, and Cool Runnings is an awesome movie. I think they just celebrated like their 30th anniversary or something. At the end of it, they crash, right? They don't win, but they get up and they carry a bobsled on their shoulders. A track is only about as wide as us in the straightaways, and those bobsleds weigh between 300 and 400 pounds. So to see those guys just pick it up and carry it, for us in the sport, it's like, that's not actually going to happen. But to see it in Hollywood, it's like, makes you feel something.
Yeah, great show. I know the first time I talked to my daughter about this podcast, I said, yeah, he does skeleton. She's like, we're right around Halloween.
Yeah.
She's like, what do you mean he does skeleton? Like, a lot of people haven't heard about your sport. Yeah. So how did you get into it?
And so that was the funny thing, is I actually didn't even know about it either. I found this sport through social media, through Facebook. Scrolling through there aimlessly, and then an ad popped up that said, Dairy Life presents next Olympic hopeful for bobsled and skeleton. I was like, well, I know what bobsled is. Don't know what skeleton is. I'll just kind of put my numbers into this and see what happens and go be a bobsled pilot or a pusher, kind of see what happens. Set my numbers in. Some things happened. I eventually got to the part where I could learn the sport. They looked at me and said, you are way too small to be on the bobsled team. I was like, all right, you're going to be a skeleton athlete. I was like, all right. So here we are doing skeleton.
So is there a certain like goal weight to be in a bobsled? Is that why you're too small? Or?
So the way I talk about it in football terms, because it's a little bit easier. So skeleton athletes, if we're thinking like football athletes, are like your receivers, your DBs, kind of your speed guys, some running backs, stuff like that. Your bobsleds are big dudes, your D-ends, your middle linebackers, some big hefty guys like that, but are still explosive and super powerful off the blocks. And that's kind of where those people range from like 225, 250, and then skeleton athletes are in that 170 to 190 range, weight-wise.
Well, that's a great analogy. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, right.
And for those people that don't know you, I mean, a lot of us know you through football. Mm-hmm. You're a football athlete, and you're a speedster.
Yeah.
That's how I know you. Mm-hmm. How does that translate into the skeleton?
So it's turned out to be a really helpful transition. I never ran track, but like you said, playing football and just having the speed there, we start in as close to a track start as possible, as if you're starting from the blocks with the sled out in front of you. And so all that power that you can generate in the first 15 to 30 meters on the ice where you're sprinting, that's where all your speed's going to come from. So the faster you can get your start time, the better your downtime's going to look.
And on the sled, I mean, in bobsled, there's a guy that kind of steers, right?
Yeah.
Turns his skates or whatever you call those. How do you steer on a skeleton sled?
And so that was probably one of the most fascinating things to learn is it goes from such a powerful sport off the block to then a really finesse sport. So once you're on your sled, you're laying there, you want to be one with the sled. You want to kind of like mold your body into it in a way. And so when you're going around the curves and you're feeling the pressures, you're only going to use your opposite shoulder and opposite knee. And it's just very little like micro movements that are going to help your runners, is what we call them, catch the ice, cut the ice, and essentially adjust the nose angle of the sled to better fit the curvature of the curve you're going around. Because you don't want to have a lot of oscillation like this. You want to just ride with it and fall out of each curve. So it's just really small micro movements that your shoulder and knees are going to change the sled drastically.
Right, and that's the difference between a
Hundredth
win,
of a second,
hundredth
yeah.
of a second,
Yeah.
tenth of a second.
Yeah.
It is almost,
Yeah.
it's not like almost like a 40-yard dash for us football guys. It's all about the start
Yep.
and, you know, running in a straight line type thing, but,
Yeah.
you know, navigating the curves perfectly. Very,
Yeah.
very interesting. So how dangerous is it?
They tell us it's not dangerous. They say in terms of like most dangerous to least dangerous, luge is first, and then bobsled, and then skeleton. So allegedly we are the safest. Whether that's true or not, I've bought into it, so that way my mental is okay with it.
So head first or feet first? And
Yeah,
head first
right.
is safer?
That's what they say. That's what
What
they
is
say.
that?
I don't know.
How is head first safer? Okay,
So,
whatever.
Yeah, so I bought into it, and it kind of helps you just
Probably
knowing
have
down.
to, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not something that you want to go in being like, oh man, am I going to crash today, right? I mean, it's like you got to go in
Right.
being confident in your abilities.
Yeah, 100%. I think it just goes back to just kind of athletics in general, is visualize yourself making the right plays, visualize yourself having a great outcome. If you visualize yourself wrecking or not doing the right things, that's what's going to happen, right? So visualize yourself having a great run, hitting the pressures correctly, coming out of curves on time. That type of deal is going to help you not wreck and then have a good run as well.
Yeah.
So when you started learning this, right? I mean, you don't just go flying down a track the first time, but you also have to get the experience of those finesse pressures.
Yeah.
Do you go halfway down the track and get on and maybe go, I don't know, 20 miles an hour? I don't know what.
Yeah,
the right
yeah,
thing is,
no,
but how do you-
absolutely. And I didn't know either. And so we were all like first day. So you do what's called a track walk, is you'll walk the whole track so you can write it on a piece of paper and then kind of study it as well. Like your track notes is what we call those. And then they have different starting points throughout the track as well that you can get dropped off at or dropped into. So like in Park City, Utah, where I learned first, you start at curve 6 and there's no running start. It's just a track crew middle. You lay on your sled and they say, track is clear, 1, 2, 3, and then they just push you. So you don't have any speed, you just go and whatever momentum carries you throughout the track, and that's kind of how you build up to it. And so my first visit down to Park City, we spent the first day at curve 6, kind of like, are you going to be okay doing this sport going head first? We're not going fast yet. And then next day, started curve 6, we're feeling good. All right, let's move up to curve 2, 3. All right, a little more speed. Still, you're not pushing. Up to curve 1, up to curve 1. And so essentially the start, but you're still not pushing. They're just standing in front of you. And then you get the experience of the whole track, kind of all the pressures together. And then it's by the end of the 2 weeks or that next camp that you come back, it's like, all right, let's see if you can start trying to run off the top. Because then that's a whole different transition from sprinting top speed to jumping on the sled at the correct time as well to learn all those different pressures, because they change the faster you go in the curvature of the ice.
So you train in Park City mainly.
Yes.
You live in Idaho.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to, as an athlete, here in Idaho, I can just go out my back door and train on a football field, a basketball court, whatever. That's got to pose a unique challenge. How do you train?
It does, and it's a challenge for all of our athletes, from bobsled to skeleton. So we have 2 tracks in the U.S. We have Park City in Utah, and then Lake Placid in New York, where the 1980 games were held. It's obviously only a winter sport, right? So you can only be on the ice during the winter, right? And that's the most beneficial time. So summertime is it's hard too, right? So we just installed a land push track is what we call it. So it's just on rails. It's essentially a roller coaster for a sled or a bobsled. You're there and
It's
you
like
just...
the alpine slides at ski
exactly,
resorts.
Exactly. You
Except head first.
yeah, and you just run, you're just working on your start. So between the travel between here and Park City and trying to get as many pushes in as possible, or going to summer camps in Lake Placid, that's kind of like the optimal time to train. The most ideal thing is if you can get residency in New York at the Olympic Training Center and be there all summer, that's going to be the most optimal because we have an indoor ice house up there, which is obviously only our start because you can't keep something that frozen all summer. But being able to run on ice versus dry land and spikes is just way more beneficial.
What are your shoes like, or spikes like? Is it like a track spike? Do you wear track spikes?
Kind of. So we'll wear track spikes on the dry land track because it's more representative of what we're going to wear. But our actual spikes we use for racing and training on the ice, the way I explain them, it's a really light shoe. And if you know what like a pet comb looks like that has all the little bristles right at the top, imagine one of those, but it's only at the toes of your feet. Nothing else on the back, all at the toes, and that's it. About 500 little spikes right up there, and that's your only grip on the ice.
Wow, 500, so very different than track spikes.
Yeah, very, very fine spikes that are only thing is to grip ice.
So obviously you're here as a Black Label athlete.
Yes.
The mission of Black Label is to help athletes prepare, perform, and recover well. How do supplements and nutritional eating, how do they help somebody that's trying to be a world-class skeleton racer or skeleton person?
Yeah. So honestly, like since I've started using the Black Label supplements, my body's felt better than it ever has using any other supplements. From the pre-workout to the creatine to the BCAAs, through the protein and the ashwagandha pill I take, like my body has recovered at an exponential rate, allowing me to honestly further my workouts, go longer, train harder, and just be better overall equipped to handle the type of load that we're going to be on under this season. And I'm excited to keep using them through the off season, or through the season and then into the off season when the gains can really start to come and the speeds can really get up there. So I'm really excited for that because I just know you win or lose in the off season, and having the correct supplements to help me get to where I need to go is going to be a game changer for these coming years.
Absolutely. So explain to us what your training is right now. It's November, first part of November. The ice probably is in place. What's your training regimen?
Yeah, so right now my training regimen, they just got the ice. It's almost frozen completely over in Lake Placid in Park City, so we'll be over there very soon for our races coming up at the end of this month. Excuse me.
You're good.
As far as what we've got going on training-wise, I stick with my regular routine that I'm going on. I don't like to kind of switch it up. I try and keep that going throughout the year. I'll probably lighten up the weight. Probably won't do as much heavy weight, more maintenance through the season to maintain the speed and everything that we're going to need throughout the next 6 months from now until the end of March.
Year round.
About your season. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the U.S. Cup, right? That's what's coming up.
Yeah. So the North American Cup is the one
American
I'm
Cup.
competing on. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That starts the end of the month. Walk us through where you're going to be, how often do you race, how do you fit your training in between that travel and race and work and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll actually leave this coming up Wednesday to head back to Lake Placid, New York. We're going to have some free ice time just to kind of get back on the track, get ready for the season, and then we'll go right into OT or official training for a couple days, and then we're right into our first race of the season on November 17th and 18th of this month. After that, we have a couple-day break, and then the next races are up in Whistler, Canada. Kind of the same process is a couple days of official training, back to racing for 2 days, and then you have a couple-day break, and then it's back down to Park City, Utah in about mid-December-ish. Same thing, a couple days official training, 2 days of races, and then it's Christmas break, Christmas holiday break for that and New Year's, so we'll kind of give all the athletes time to recover. World Cup Tour then starts, World and Europa Cup Tour start. They get their season going throughout the early part of 2024, and then we'll all come together at the end of 2024 in that late February, early March time period. We'll do our national championship races and the last race of the season for the North American Cup in Lake Placid, and then World Cup will also host their big championship over there as well. So, and that one should be televised. That one will be really fun for those athletes competing at that level.
So what is your goal for this season? I mean, is it to win certain events, to place top 10? What's your goal?
The goal is always to win, right? That's the life goal, right? Win everything you can and accept the outcomes that happen and then learn from those to be better for the next one. My goals right now are to master the fundamentals. I think the fundamentals of any sport just like this will take you further in the long run wherever you go. So my goal for this year and next year, master the fundamentals at the circuit I'm on, acquire those skills to take me up to the Europa level cup. Same thing, do that for the next year to 3 years. And then after that, have the skills and the talent required to be able to race at the World Cup level and then compete against my teammates to try and represent our country in the Olympics.
How many athletes go to the Olympics in this sport from the U.S.?
So it's all dependent, from what I've heard, it's all dependent upon how many sleds we qualify. So if we qualified 2 sleds and us 3 were on the team to try and make those sleds, it would be us 3 racing against each other throughout the year, and then the best times from certain tracks are used as qualification numbers, and that's who represents the 2 sleds that go to the Olympics. Yeah. So it's not like everybody goes. It's here's what we've got, here's who qualifies, here's who's going.
And your qualification is probably like similar to track and field in the sense that the country is allocated so many slots based on their performance in World Championships or World Cup or whatever your specific qualifying event is. Is that right?
I believe so. Where I haven't reached that level of competition yet, I'm not quite sure. But for the athletes that are there, that sounds about what it would be.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So before we get into some of your personal life and what motivates you and whatnot, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from some other Black Label athletes, how supplements and things help them in their training and recovery. So we're going to take a quick break.
Hey guys, I'm Dawson Moon, former collegiate athlete, and today I'll be talking about ashwagandha. So ashwagandha, I like to use it on the course because it helps me get better rest before a tournament and reduces my stress the next morning. When I'm on the course, I don't have the first tee jitters. It also helps me focus on the course and, play the best of my ability. If you haven't tried ashwagandha, this is one supplement I definitely recommend taking.
All right, well, welcome back. We're here with Andy Whittier. Thank you for being here again. We appreciate it. We've talked a lot about the sport of skeleton. Now I want to talk about the man, Andy. What motivates you?
Motivates me, coming from a family, from a single parent household. My mom raised all 3 of myself, my brother, and my sister. Seeing the hard work and dedication that she put into raising all 3 of us by herself, I feel like I owe it to her to do something great with my life. And so that's kind of my motivation is, what can I give back to my mom? That's something she may not have been able to do for herself. That's kind of what gets me going every day.
Love that. And your mom's here in town?
She is here in town, yeah.
Good for you. That's awesome. Do you have a favorite motto or quote that motivates you? Or what you say in your head that gets you fired up?
I do. It's something that's, there's 2 that I live by. One is carpe diem. I know a lot of people live by that. It seize the day, seize the opportunity. I think every day is a new opportunity. Whatever you have in front of you, you should make the most of it. The other one I live by is, I hate losing more than I enjoy winning. And that just runs through my veins. So I come out and I coach football now, and I tell my players this: whatever you do in life, expect to win and don't accept failure. Losing is not the option. Winning is the only option.
That's pretty good. I'm inspired. I'm inspired.
Those 2 things are what get me going every day.
Yeah. And what are some of your future personal goals?
Future personal goals, I've already started an online fitness company, so I'm working with that right now. I want to take that into the future. I'm still learning. One set of my grandparents, they have a storage facility, so I want to learn from those guys on how to kind of, that business model, and kind of bring that here as well. I just want to do something that allows me to have passive income later on in my life, and then keep what I'm doing at the credit union, because I love what I do for Lookout Credit Union. So having the ability to give back to the community that has helped build me is one of my biggest passions, because I think the Pocatello community has so much to give and offer, and I want to do my part for the people who have helped me get to where I'm at as well.
So the fitness company you're working on, is it personal training? Is it online training?
Yeah, so it's personal training. So it's called Witness Change. I tailor a month-long workout program to anybody that needs it, from regular people who just want to experience the gym or work out at home, just kind of change their life. They understand the health benefits, but a lot of people just don't know where to begin. So my big thing is, like, I'm going to make it as super simple as possible. Here's what you're going to do every day. Here's 6 workouts. Do this. You're going to be okay. And then the changes you see after a month, so long as you stick with it, are guaranteed. And I always tell people in the emails I send them, it's guaranteed results depending on how hard you work.
Yeah. That's how it is, right? I mean, you mentioned that in your training, and my training follows a similar way. It's like you really dial in the fundamentals. It's the same thing with fitness or nutrition or whatever, right? It's not complicated. You just got to do it.
And that's what I remind the people. It's like, as long as you know what you're doing and you have a plan for it, the outcome's going to come no matter what.
Yeah. Where is your home gym, or where you personally train right now?
So I'm currently training at Gold's Gym, just because it kind of has everything I need. It's local and super close to my house, so it's nice, easy on my way to work, get it in the morning, and then tackle the rest of the day.
So you're a morning
guy for life. Yep.
Yeah,
5:30 a.m. be at the gym, and then the rest of the day is yours to do as you please with.
It's really the only way to do it.
Well, I'm that way too, but I don't think it's the only way to do it. I try to get out of it any day I can.
Because if you start working, you think, I'll work out in the afternoon or something, you get busy, and then you never make it to the gym.
Then you get home, and it's like, I just want to eat dinner, relax, go to bed by 9, 10 o'clock, and do it all over again the next day.
So the unique thing, and Tyson does this as well as a USA athlete, balancing training and your athletic career with an actual job and a lifestyle career and everything else. How do you do that?
It's different. Sometimes I think you got to be built for it or wired differently when it comes to stuff like this, because you're chasing a goal that so many people think is just unobtainable, but we're the crazy few that are like, yeah, I'm going to go do that. Why not?
For free.
For free, yeah. And that's the biggest thing I try to remind people is like, no one does the Olympic sports for money, guys. There is no money in this. It's just a small sliver of a dream of either a gold, silver, or bronze medal. And you're competing against the other best athletes in the world, right? So I think you're wired differently to be able to balance, one, just your life, right? I think that's the most important thing in the world. And then two, work. Something's got to help fund you to get to those different points in your career. And then between all that, the athleticism and the athletics that it's going to take to get there, you really have to be dedicated to the goal and the dream and build your schedule around that. And I would honestly say, don't let anyone come within those realms to mess that up. So the dedication is the main thing that matters, I think, in that.
Yeah. I really admire all the Olympic athletes that really do it because of the love and the passion for a sport. That's really cool. Yeah. No money involved. No
money involved. You do it for the competition and to go against the best athletes in the world. And I think that's one of the coolest things just around here too, and like ISU football and everything. And just, if you're going to compete, I think it's exceptional to compete against the best athletes you can, to make yourself better at the same time. That's just great. The whole iron sharpens iron, right? It's the only way to do it.
So what do you do outside of the credit union, your day job, training? What do you do for fun?
Man, I think that's the coolest part is I love everything I do. I think that's the most fun stuff. I still have a passion for football, so I currently coach football for Pocatello High School. They're currently in their state playoff run, so go Thunder. Hoping they make it all the way to that blue trophy. I love it. Honestly, between that and the gym, what I do is fun. It's giving back to the community within my role at Lookout is so much fun. And I've been telling this story because it just happened so recently. So Halloween was 2 days ago, right? We dressed up as Woody's Roundup for our marketing team. And we went downtown to Lookout Point to pass out candy to the kids as they're strolling through in the early afternoon. And I've been liked way more as a Woody character than I ever have as me. So that was probably the highlight of my whole day. And this little family came up, and it was super cute. This little girl, probably 4 years or younger, came walking up, and she's like, Woody! And like my heart melted. It was the cutest little thing. Took a picture with her little family and everything, and it was like, this is why I do it. For the kids, for the fun, for the memories, like giving back, that's what I find fun. So the fact that I get to do that just as part of my job it's like free money. It's awesome.
And your job is community relations, marketing?
Yeah, everything under the umbrella of marketing is a hat I'll put on every day. Whatever that hat is, I'll wear it.
That's a great job for you because you hold yourself well, you speak well.
Thank you.
You obviously are passionate about your community. I love that you coach. Another free job, pretty much.
Yeah.
There's no money in high school coaching.
You do
I've
the
done it
kids.
myself, and it's
Yep.
it's super rewarding. But man, it's a time commitment.
It is, and you do it for the kids to watch them grow. And we say this a lot at Pokey. The wins and losses will come and go. That's just the way sports and programming is. But it's turning those, where I'm only coaching football, it's turning those young men, or turning those boys into young men, husbands and fathers as they grow on later on in their life, knowing that they're going to take care of someone's family, and just making them respectable young men. That's the most important thing we focus on over at Pokey.
That's great. And you were a Century Diamondback?
I was, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome too.
Yeah.
There's 3 high schools in
Yeah.
Pocatello, and we'd love to support all of them.
Yeah,
Here at
absolutely.
Black Label. So
Absolutely, and I think the way Black Label does it, supporting all the local athletes from all 3 high schools and the university, it just shows the diversity and how truly committed you guys and we are to the community and everyone's success.
yeah, that's awesome. And I love that you're an entrepreneur as well.
Yeah.
That's a great thing to possess, that desire.
I think the best thing you can do is find something you love and make that a job, and then it's never a job again.
What did you study?
I studied business marketing and management, so one of the lucky few that's actually doing the thing I studied for.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
I don't think so. I'm still hyped about all of this stuff too, between the bobsled and your progression there. You know, as an athlete, I was gonna say we gotta get together after and maybe we should start working out together and stuff, because we're both training speed and power. So that's something we should do.
Yeah, absolutely, and I love it. I love helping people who work out with me in the mornings and stuff, seeing the transformation they've gone through in just a short amount of time, and some of the people who've been with me much longer. It's cool to see how big their bodies have gotten in the short amount of time.
Well, we really appreciate you being here. We appreciate your time. We appreciate all you do in the community. We'll be following you. If we can support you in any way at Black Label, let us know. We really appreciate you being a Black Label athlete. Be looking for another podcast coming out this week with Shelby Nill, CrossFit Games and Rogue Invitational athlete. And best of luck, Andy.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks.